lovely to see you.
Not in the bedroom for a change.
Not in your bedroom like last time, but in the fabulous hotel.
Yeah.
Look, it's so nice to see
so
you.
nice to see you
And
too.
we love the film.
Oh, that's great news.
All of us have loved the film. I think it's one of my favourites so far, actually, but we'll get into that. So here you are, back as Bridget, mad about the boy, or maybe mad about the boys.
I know. It's not a bad day at work, is it?
They're not bad boys.
No, no, they certainly aren't. Boy, lovely, both of them, Leo and Chiwetel. Such talented actors and so much fun and just kind. Just really wonderful. We had such a good time.
So we catch you now in your 50s.
Yep.
Yeah. She's been 30, she's been 40s, we're in the 50s now.
Yep.
And the gang, it feels like, for us, because we've all shared Bridget and your journeys, Bridget, it feels like the gang's back together somehow, and we're all enjoying that. People have gone off and done different things as actors. Yep. I mean, did it feel a bit like that when you got back, that like, I'm back?
Every time it's like a big family reunion, you know, because it's been 25 years, over 25 years. Yeah. And we, you know, there's real friendship that happens in that time of sharing these experiences and making the films, and you depend on each other. And so, you know, you come to care a great deal about each other, and you change, you know, life changes, and to get back together again, and everyone's had all these different experiences, and they have families, and they've got children, and to catch up with everything, it's a pretty blessed experience to be part of this journey, I guess.
Yeah. And do you have something that makes you feel like Bridget when you get back into her? Is it the big knickers? Is it the getting into the English accent?
Oh yeah, that's where we start there. We start by landing. You got to land in London and start listening to the accent, and you know, catching up on British culture and what's happening, and then she starts to show up slowly. You know, I start to fake an accent for a little while, and sound like a jerk with pretense, American pretense, and then she shows up a little bit at a time, and mostly in between everyone, like when we get to rehearsal and we start having the conversations and with the director and with Helen, and we're laughing about, you know, the choices she might make in each moment, then she's really feels alive to me at that time.
Do you like London? Do you like it, Britain?
Feels like home.
Does it?
Oh yeah, it's like a homecoming. Everything's familiar. I have my favorite places, and I know where I you know, where I can be peaceful, and I have friends in all different parts of the country. Absolutely.
Good. I'm sorry about the weather.
Oh no, I love it.
Why?
I love it. Well, you know, where I live, we don't get a whole lot of you know, variety.
Nice. Bit of British. Love that. Yeah.
It's so this is refreshing to me. It's actually winter, you know.
And it feels a little bit
It feels
cozy.
like winter, and you need a jumper, and all the yummy things matter, you know, like yummy warm meal and a cozy fire and a soft, you know, yummy bed. So, yeah.
I think maybe that's like being a grandma, that's because you can give it back, whereas we have it all the time.
Oh, I see.
You get back to sunshine.
I see.
So look, we catch up with her, as I say, in the 50s, and she's a single mum.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I mean, I've got a lot of personal connection with this story. Since we last chatted and spoke about, everybody thinks they've got a bit of Bridget Jones in them, or they know a Bridget Jones, and it's usually the lovable bits. Mine are always the klutzy bits, and the falling over and all those other bits as well.
Same.
But since we last chatted, it has felt very personal, because I've lost my husband, become a single mum, freshly a single mum, raising 2 kids on my own, one of them called Billy. It all really resonated with me, but the great thing was when I looked around, there were people, there were Gen Zs, there were 50-year-olds, there were loads of people watching it that were also feeling emotional. So what is it for you? Do you tap into a personal loss?
Well, I mean, at our stage in life,
Yeah.
because we're in our 50s, and
Yeah.
you know, it would be, well, first of all, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That's very fresh, and so
Yeah.
So it's probably very raw still for you.
Yeah,
And so
I think it is. Yeah,
of course it is.
Thank you.
And you're a changed person on the other side of such a significant loss and that grief, and it sort of redefines who you are. It's sort of, you feel like your cells change. And it's really hard to explain that to somebody who hasn't been through it, but at our stage in life, it's the rare person who hasn't yet. You know, it's an inevitability, though. None of us get out of here without suffering that, you know?
Yeah.
And trying to find your way into healing and what feels appropriate and how to start your life again. And yeah, it's what was in this, so certainly, you know, I'm familiar with that. I know that you're not the same person on the other side of it. There are certain things that don't change. Your essence is there, and there's moments where you recognize yourself fully, but there are moments when you recognize too that you're not the same person, and that you don't want to be the same person as you were before. And so with respect to Bridget, it was sort of an exploration of what that might look like for her, because you know, she's never deterred or defeated. You know, she's always looking forward, and she's always finding a way, even though things don't work out according to plan. And oftentimes it's very funny in her life, and we relate to that, you know, because we all recognize, you know, oh, I didn't get that right, and we laugh with her about it because it wasn't expected, and you find yourself being embarrassed publicly or whatever it is, and you know, so we laugh with her in those circumstances. But in this sort of chapter of Bridget's life, which Helen has described as her most personal, because she's sharing her experience through grief and the loss of her partner, her husband, through the character of Bridget, and she's also sharing these stories about her children and their journey through healing, and in that respect, you know, she's got to be different because she's probably a little more measured, and in this case now, you know, there's more that hangs in the balance in the consequences of the choices that she makes, because it's not just about her. It's
not just her laughing, oh, I've had too much to drink. It's
more,
there's
consequences
kids, there's
are more
everything.
significant. Yeah.
Did you quite like tackling that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Because it's familiar. You know, it's familiar, and it feels like an authentic representation of a person in this stage of life, because you will know loss, and you will have matured in certain ways, and your values and your perspective change. But hopefully that side of us, that joyful side of us, is still, you know, that little spark inside. It's still sitting there, and it's just waiting for the right moment to be rekindled, to let joy in again, in a different way, as a slightly different person, you know? And
I think that's what we love, because I don't want to give it away. We love about the whole ending and what she says around the ending, that it's that taking forward of stuff that is life, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's a really personal thing, the healing. And it's so interesting that she's back where we started, with advice from friends and mom and society, you know, and I'm sure in your experience that this is familiar to you, where your friends want to help you, and they've got ideas about how it should be and what you might like and what your family thinks would be good to be helpful. And again, you got to find your own way, you know?
Yeah. Is it fun? Do you like being in your 50s?
It's the best.
It's the best. Why is it so
best.
good?
I don't know. Maybe it's all of those things.
Yeah.
Because you sort of shed. I found with loss that like the superficialities sort of, you don't have time for those. And frivolity in your relationships, you don't have time for that either. And you have a lot less time to pick on yourself because you have other things and other people to focus on. And it's sort of just growing up, isn't it? Growing up there's some freedom in it, and being liberated from certain things that you might scrutinize yourself about because you recognize that it's not necessary. You feel like a kid, you know?
It's a liberation.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you heal? How do you find peace? I know you took a chunk of time out from acting,
Yeah.
came back and got an Oscar. Brilliant. So how do you do, where do you find peace in your day?
Well, I like to be physically active,
Right.
because I find that when I run, I feel like I'm physically moving through whatever it is that is troubling me, and I find that I feel like it's sort of a spiritual leaving behind, in the pavement, whatever it is. So there's that. I'll write some things to, reflect on things.
Do you journal?
No, not so much that, but in different mediums,
Yeah.
I find solace in my animals and the people I love, really. And I work. I like to work because I like to have obligations that don't allow me to not move, go, do, to pretend fine until it's true.
It's a momentum, isn't it?
And a distraction, I suppose. Yeah.
We're coming up to the Oscars again. Do you remember the moment when you heard your name? Do you remember the moment when you won? What do you still think about that when it comes around? What's
sure.
the feeling? Yeah.
Oh, sure. It's one of those. It's so funny because when you're not involved in it,
Yeah.
it's very different when But when you're sitting in the room, it's surreal. That's a good word for it. It feels like it's somebody else's life. Like that. Did that happen? Did I imagine that?
Didn't you have a slightly Bridget Jones moment following Cold Mountain?
Completely Bridget Jones. It was Nurse Betty.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Go on, tell me.
Hugh Grant had flown, and he was presenting my category, and the schedule that they give you on the table was wrong. So I thought I had plenty of time. This would be a good time. They'd gone to commercial break to go to the loo, And anyway, it wasn't a good time to go to the loo, it turns out. And so I was in the loo, and I guess they called my name and some friends and were outside the door with me and outside the ladies' room, and Kevin, my agent, was screaming my name. And Renée! And even then, it didn't register that he was talking to me. I thought there was somebody in there that needed to. I thought, don't they know that they're?
I'm coming.
Yeah, I thought they're filming. They're filming out there. They're going to hear him. They're going to hear him. Don't they know? Anyway.
Crazy.
Yes.
I mean, obviously this year with the Oscars, you live in California, there's a lot going on with the fires and everything. Has it affected you? Has it affected your friends? Has it changed the atmosphere?
Well, I don't know. I don't live in Los Angeles. I live outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But I don't have a friend in LA who didn't have to evacuate, and
Right.
they live in all different pockets and surrounding areas. So
Yeah.
well, within the community, it's just tragic for everyone who lives around there. It's terrible, just terrible. It's it really is. There's nothing left. It's pretty remarkable.
Thankfully, you're a bit further down, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm definitely feeling for my friends. Yeah.
Well, look, we loved it. Is this it?
I don't know.
Could there be a Bridget Jones granny?
I don't know. That'd be nice.
Would you like it?
How hilarious would that be? I hope that something sparks in Bridget, and in Helen, and she'll want to share through Bridget again. That would be nice.